Very good evening, dear students. I hope you all people are safe in this COVID-19 pandemic attack, and I welcome you all people for the investment management subject. During the regular class hours, I have completed half of the syllabus. Not exactly half, it is 1.5 chapters. From there, I am going to continue the syllabus, and today we shall solve the problems related to Markowitz model, right? So first of all, let us understand what exactly is the problem. Stock A and Z holds the following returns from the past 2 years, right? The details are here. It is year. He says that year 2018 and 19, and in the year 2018, stock A has given a return of 12% and Z has given a return of 14%. And in the year 2019, stock A has given 18% return and stock Z has given 12% return, right? What is the expected return on the portfolio made up of 60% and 40% of security A and Z? So what exactly does this means to say? Here we have to find out the expected return on portfolio. See, portfolio means instead of investing in single stock, we are going to invest in 2 or more securities. Here the stocks are A and Z. He has invested in 2 stocks, and he says that portfolio is made up of 60% and 40% of security A and Z, which means to say that 60% of the funds have been invested in security A and 40% of the funds have been invested in the security Z, right? So this is the problem. We have to find out the expected return on the portfolio. The second point, he says, find out the standard deviation of risk associated with each stock. Standard deviation means to say that it is a risk. What is the risk of stock A and what is the risk of stock Z? That should be find out. And third question, he says that what are the covariance and correlation of security A and Z? What is the relationship between these two securities A and Z? So that is what he is asking. We have to find out the correlation, right? A relationship, and calculate the portfolio risk using Markowitz model. Here he says that what is the risk of portfolio if we combine and invest on these 2 stocks, 60% in A and 40% in Z. So what is the risk? That we have to find, but using the Markowitz model. This is the question. So let us find out how we can solve this. First, as per his question, we have to find out the return on portfolio. So calculation of expected return from individual stock. So we are having 2 different stocks, that is stock A and Z. So we have to find out the returns among these stocks. So the formula is here. R stands for return, P stands for portfolio, return on portfolio equals summation RI. I stands for individual stock and N stands for numbers. Numbers means to say that in this question we have the data for 2 years, so N will be 2. By using this information, we have to find out the return on individual stock. See, this return on portfolio, whenever we are calculating, this should always be in P. So I am going to take 2 different datas. Instead of I am going to use here A, because we are calculating the return of security A, and here we are calculating the return of security Z, so hence it is Z, right? So by having these informations, we have to calculate the return on individual stocks. Actually, there is a small mistake. It is not return on portfolio, it is on individual stock. So hence we have to write it this as I and not P, right? Here individual return on stock A and here individual return on stock Z. If it was a portfolio, we would have written it as P. And now we have to continue. Now by taking this information, right? So what is the return on stock A? Return on stock A is return on stock A. It is in the year 12% and in the year 2019 it is 18. So what we have to do, summation means to say that sum of. So we are going to take the returns of 2 years. So that is 12 plus 18, and number of years is 2 years. So hence why we have to replace this n with 2. And next is 12 plus 18 is 30. 30 divided by 2 is 15. Return from stock A is 15%, right? 15%. Similarly, return on stock Z. So here he says that return on stock Z is, for the year 18 it is 14, for the year 19 it is 12. So it will become 14 plus 12, and number of years is 2. It is 14 plus 12, and for 2 years it is 2. Next step is 14 plus 12 is 26. 26 by 2 is 13%. So that return on individual stocks. So return from stock A is 15% and return from stock Z is 13%. Here we have written it as R bar. You have to observe this R bar. R bar means mean returns. R means return. This bar stands for mean. So return from stock A from 2 years. 2 years. See, if you observe here, the returns are completely different in the year 18 and in the year 19. So we have to find out the average returns from stock A. So what we have done here is return from average stock A is 15 and return from average stock from Z is 13%, right? So as per this one, we have found out this expected return, and we have to find out the return from portfolio right now. Now the return from portfolio should be found out. Calculation of expected return from portfolio. Please observe, this is return from individual stocks. Here we are calculating return from portfolio. So the formula is this one. Return on portfolio equals summation Ni equals 1 Wi. I means to say that weights of individual stock, and Ri stands for return from individual stock. Since there is summation, this formula can be extended, and we are having 2 stocks. So I am going to remove this W sigma, and instead of writing Wi, I am going to write it as Wa, and instead of writing Ri, I am writing it as Ra, and plus, since there is summation, I am going to add plus here, and ZWZ and RZ. So if in case in this question, if it was having more than 2 or 3 stocks, we would have continued this formula, right? So now let us solve this return on portfolio. So in this question, if you observe, he says to portfolio is made up of 60% and 40%. 60% in stock A and 40% in stock Z, which means to say that WA is 60%, that is 0.60, and return from stock A. Return from stock A is where you have found out here. So it is going to be 15%. It is 15%. And return and weights of security. In security Z, he has invested 40%, so you are going to take it as 0.40, and return from security Z is 13, so you have to replace this with 13. Now what next step is, you have to solve this. 0.60 into 15, we shall check in the calculators. 0.60 into 15 is going to be 9. The return, if you multiply this, it is going to be 9. And now 0.5 40 into 13 equals 5.2. So the return is going to be 5.2. So 9 plus 5.2 is 14.2%. So the return on portfolio, if we combine the investment, then the return is going to be 14.2%. And coming to this second point, we have to find out the standard deviation. Standard deviation means risk of the stock associated with each of them. So in order to find out the calculation of risk with individual stocks, we have this formula: standard deviation I equals individual stock. Sigma means summation. If since the stock investment is being done in for 2 years, we can expand this, right? RI means return on investment, R bar I means mean return of stock I. Similarly, for security A, we are going to rate it as standard deviation A, and for security Z, we are going to rate it as standard deviation Z. Let us now calculate this risk. To find out the risk, sigma, I am going to remove the return on stock A. Return on stock A for the first year it is 12. For the second year it is 18, right? For the first year the return is 12, and mean returns of A. Mean returns means just now we have found out it is 15. Plus for the second year, what is the return? It is 18. Minus 15 is the mean returns. For how many years we are doing this? It is for 2 years, right? Okay. Let us now move ahead. So 12 minus 15 is minus 3. 18 minus 15 is plus 3. So we have to have this square as well over here. Okay, my dear friends, so it is minus 3. And next step, what we have to do, we have to square this. Minus into minus is plus, so 3 3s are, it is going to be 9. So again here 3 square 3 3s are 9. Next step is what you are going to do, you have to solve this again. 9 plus 9 is 18. Eighteen by 2 is 9, and if you take the calculator, it is root of 9 equals, it is going to be 3. The answer is 3. Standard deviation of risk is 3. Similarly, we have to find this for the same also. So we are going to remove this sigma. The formula can be expanded because the return is given for 2 years. Return on security Z for the first year. For the first year it is 14, for the second year it is 12. 14 and 12. Look, it is 14, and for the second year, that is 2019, it is 12. Mean returns of security Z. Mean returns of security Z is 13%. So mean return of security Z is 13%, and here also it is 13%. Now next step. 14 minus 3 is, it is going to be plus 1, and 12 minus 3 is minus 1 square. Next step is substitute with this. 1 square is 1, and again minus 1 square is 1. So number of years is 2. So if you add this, 1 plus 1 is 2, and now 2 by 2 is 1, and if you take out the root of 1 is, it is going to be just 1. The risk of this stock is, stock Z is going to be 1, right? And now what we have to do, similarly, after this risk in the question, he says that find out the risk of standard deviation. Now what we have to do, we have to find out the covariance and correlation coefficient of security A and Z. We have to find out the relationship between this security A and Z. In order to find this out, we have a formula, calculation of covariance between stock A and Z. Covariance I equals summation n I equals 1 is equal to Ri minus R bar I divided by n. So we have to find this out. Now what we have to do is, we have to find out the covariance. Similarly, if there are 2 stocks, we have to add this for 2 years. For the beginning, he says that if you observe this question, we have the returns for 2 years. For the security A, the returns is going to be, for the year 2012 is 12, and mean return is 15 as we have calculated. Similarly, return on security Z is going to be 14 for the year 2018, and mean return on stock Z is going to be 13%. Similarly, it is for 2018 we have did. Now we have to continue the same thing for the year 2019 as well. So I have copied this and I am writing here the mean return on security A for the year 2018 is going to be 18, and mean return on security Z for the year 2019 is going to be 12, and we have it for 2 years. And similarly we are going to continue this. So 12 minus 15 is minus 3, and 14 minus 13 is 1, and 18 minus 3 is 3, and 12 minus 13 is minus 1, right? Minus into minus is plus, minus 3 into plus 1 is minus 3, and 3 into minus 1 is, it is going to be minus 3, right? So it is going to be minus 3. Right now we have to simplify this again. Minus into minus is plus, so it is going to be minus 6. Minus 6 divided by 2. Minus 6 divided by 2 is minus 3. Covariance of security A and Z is going to be minus 3. Similarly, once the covariance is found out, next we have to find out the correlation coefficient of stock A and Z. Now the correlation coefficient of stock A and Z can be calculated by using this formula. If you observe, R stands for correlation. It is a return on security A and Z. Similarly, covariance of security A and Z equals covariance of A and Z. So it is the value which we have just found out. Covariance of A and Z minus 3, just now found out, and divided by standard deviation A into standard deviation Z. This is, we have found out 3 and 1. This is 3 and into 1. 3 into 1 is 3, and if you divide this, minus 3 divided by 3 is minus 1. And we have, as per the question, we have also found out this covariance and correlation coefficient also. Now the thing which is left out is portfolio risk. We have to find out the risk of the portfolio by using Markowitz model. Friends, I think you are still remembering. I have taught you how to find out the formula, construct the formula. So I have already taught you, if there are two stocks, we have to construct a formula, or if the stock is 4, 5 or 6 also, we can find it out by using that rule. I have already constructed a formula over here, and now let us substitute the values. W stands for weights. Weights means to say that investment in the stock. So as you all people know, I have already said 60% of investment is being done in security Z, and 60% investment in security A, and 40% of stock investment is being done in security A. So by having this, we have to if you observe here, I have taken weights. Investment in security A is 6.0, that is 60% square, and standard deviation of security A is 3, that is 3 square, and investment in security Z is 0.40, that is 40%, and risk of security Z, that is standard deviation, is 1 square. So right now, similarly, I am substituting the values for this also. It is for security A and security Z. Investment in security Z is 0.40, and correlation coefficient, we have just found it over here, that is -1, and standard deviation A is 3, and standard deviation on stock Z is 1. We have to calculate this. Okay, first one 0.60 square into 0.60, it is going to be 0.60 into 0.60, it is going to be 0.36. so this 0.3060 square is 0.36. similarly 3 square is going to be 9, and similarly 0.4 square, it is going to be 0.16, and 1 square is 1. Similarly, now we have to find out this 2 into 0.60 into 0.40 equals 0.48. If you multiply these three things, it is 0.48. Similarly, minus into plus into minus is, it is minus. 1 into 3 is 3, 3 into 1 is 3. The value is going to be minus 3. Next step, what we have to do, we have to solve this again. Simplify this. 0.36 into 9, 0.36 into 9, it is going to be 3.24, 3.24, and similarly 0.16 into 1 equals 0.16. Next, minus into plus is minus 0.48 into 3 equals 1.44. It is minus 1.44. Now we have to add these two and deduct that one thing. 3.24 plus 0.16 minus 1.44, 1.96. The value is 1.96. If you observe this question, we have a square over here, hence we have to give a root for this, right? So it is standard deviation P, 1.96. Take the calculator and 1.96 root equals 1.4. The value is 1.4. If you take out the root, you will get 1.4. So this is the risk of the portfolio, right? Similarly, I have got one more question. I want you to solve this, right? Thank you, my dear students.